Hits it into left center. Back at the track. It is dropped. Digging around third. 1-0 Kansas City.
What you just saw was the worst moment of my entire life. Kidding. Kinda. I grew up with the Mets, and watching bad things happen to them quickly makes me devolve into laughter.
The Mets just beat the Nationals, and the game's still going on, but I'm not confident. Oh my God!
This is one of the few terrible things I've seen them do that gave me no amusement. Just that crushing feeling. During this 2015 World Series, I was a junior in high school who knew he was about to be moving out of the Northeast over 1,000 miles away in a couple months. I didn't have a care left about practically anything other than the Mets playoff run and waiting for Black Ops 3 to drop. You gotta understand, I was so invested in this Mets run, I was blatantly and egregiously napping through my first period classes most of that October. Seeing the first pitch the Mets threw in that series bounce off a center fielder where his elbow was fully downward is something I haven't forgotten. The man in center field was Yoenis Cespedes. His arrival to the Mets that July saved their season. But in this moment, it felt like he might as well not have shown up, right after he actually didn't show up.
Batting fourth, the center fielder, number 52, Yoenis Cespedes.
When he was picked up via trade, his reputation was that of a giant bat and giant arm. He entered MLB with the upside of being a great hitter and great defensive player, if all was to work out. In fact, the same season he managed to do whatever this was, he won a Gold Glove for his defensive abilities. If this sounds weird, that was just his thing. Yoenis Cespedes was the weirdest defender in baseball history, because for every impossibly strange bad thing that happened with him in the field, he would give you something like this.
Rolls off the side wall, and they're going to wave home Kendrick. The throw to the plate is there, and they got him. Are you kidding me?
And this goes back about as far as anyone who remembers seeing him could tell you. 2009 World Baseball Classic. Cespedes is still playing locally in Cuba. He's about 3 years away from his jump to the United States. He's the starting center fielder on a Cuban team that is considered one of the very best in the world. Their backs are to the wall though, playing Japan. They have to win to stay alive in the tournament. A fly ball is hit to Cespedes.
Cespedes back and drops it. He dropped it on the track.
Japan beats Cuba 5-0. 2 of those runs came in to score on this play. You've probably seen center fielders run routes similar to this and catch the ball in your sleep, probably even in their sleep. He's not running particularly hard, the ball isn't at a particularly weird angle, he just drops it. This is, unfortunately, far from the last time something like this happens to Yoenis in his career. As I briefly mentioned before, Cespedes was a few years away from making the jump to Major League Baseball. He broke in 2012 with the Oakland A's and quickly found himself making defensive highlight after defensive highlight, which was strange because he was a clear net negative defender. The invention of advanced defensive stats in baseball opened up some eyes on how we viewed defense. In years past, it was often thought that the guys who make the highlight reel plays are the best defenders. And sometimes that's true. But this is a good example of why Cespedes was a weird defender. It seems like a giant roll of the dice to put him out there. He's gonna miss more often than he hits, metaphorically speaking. But if he makes the play, he's gonna save the day and do it with style. You remember that great throw I showed you earlier? That's a perfect example. He stumbles around out there looking like me playing the field for the humongous Melonheads. But the difference between him and me is he has a cannon for an arm, and I can't use that to make up for looking goofy in the field every now and again. The very next day, he basically did it all again. Let's break it down. Albert Pujols hits one down the left field line, and Cespedes is not flying over to get it by any means. He doesn't position himself well at all to get the bounce, and the ball rolls behind him. Normally, this would be a disaster, but when you're Cespedes, you just grip it, rip it, and throw the runner out at third base on the fly. See? piece of cake. And just so you know, the advanced stats do corroborate what I'm saying the eye test shows. The earliest his advanced defensive rankings go back to are a couple years after this in 2016. Cespedes' range out there is in the 4th percentile, which in layman's terms means he's slow and rigid getting to balls in the outfield, which means that 96% of big league outfielders had more range than him statistically. His arm, however, 94th percentile. That is very, very good. And it's not like this situation ever improved for him. Good arm, but little mobility? Alright, Nick Foles, I see you. In 2014, Cespedes led all big league outfielders in assists. In 2014, 15, and 17, he led left fielders in errors too. This was just his thing, and he was quite known for it during his early career. By the time he got to the New York Mets, he was already a legend for that arm. It's a big reason why his defensive wins above replacement in 2015 was an even 1. That means that compared to players around him at the same position, having Cespedes in the field ended up meaning one more full win for his teams that season. And that's odd because he never, in his entire career, posted a positive rate at getting outs in the field, or preventing runs in the field better than the average player. He was consistently in the negative in both of those metrics. He was gonna ride that right arm of his to the highlight reel whenever he could, though. It was really just a matter of time before the Mets got to see it. And oh did they.
Rodriguez with an extra base hit. It bounces away from Cespedes. Rodriguez going to try for 3. The throw by Cespedes. He got him! Oh, man, what a throw!
You can't keep getting away with it!
Don't worry. The weirdness of baseball was going to make him pay for these good plays in no time. All 3 of these clips you're about to see were in the span of about 6 months from each other.
It is Escobar, and he swings and hits it into left center. Back at the track, it is dropped. Cespedes couldn't make the catch.
2-2 is shipped to center field. Cespedes heading back towards the wall, and it's over his head. Heading to second base is White with a stand-up double.
Hey, keep going! Go!
He's going to keep running. It looks like it went under the wall.
And he's saying no. Oh, there's the ball. He's calling inside the park home run.
What's he doing?
And he shoots the ball the other way, hits it well, and Cespedes drops it. Man, oh man.
Baseball?
I don't understand how a guy can drop this ball and make this catch in the span of a day. No, seriously. These were 1 day apart. I am just fascinated by this range of outcomes that could happen when you throw Yoenis Cespedes out there in the field. I can attest to the fact that defense is hard in baseball. I would personally say that I find the outfield a little easier to man than the infield, though. Obviously depends on a lot of factors and the person itself. That's just me. And it's probably Yoenis too, because, you know, he was a big league outfielder. So, Mets, I have to ask, did you really expect having him take grounders at third base was gonna work out? Well, he caught this, so.
Baseball. Most baseball.
Just a couple days after the great catch at the wall in the 2015 World Series, Cespedes would manage to kick a ball away on a Salvador Perez hit, which transitions very well into one of the most fun things to watch when Cespedes would play defense. He managed to make really awkward looking plays seem really cool, like all the time. May 18th, 2016, Gio Gonzalez hits a ball in front of Cespedes in left field. Instead of fielding it with his glove to stop it from going any further, like most baseball players would, Cespedes blocks it with his chest. Maybe he's just a soccer player out there kicking the ball around the grass and blocking it with his chest. July 9th, 2016. Okay. Watch out there, pal. That play totally went as planned. August 24th, 2016, Yadier Molina lines a single to Cespedes in left field, who is on his knees for some reason, and then he snags the ball with his bare hand as it bounces over his head. September 4th, 2016, fly ball slicing down the line in left field, Cespedes flings his arm out, turns around, and catches the ball with only a couple inches of space between him and the sidewall. There is no conceivable way that he sees this ball as it goes into his glove. But he makes the play anyway. But then, there's still moments where he doesn't make the play. Cespedes, to me, in a crazy way, represents how difficult and strange baseball is. He's such a good athlete. He would obliterate baseballs better than almost anyone I've ever seen. So much so that he even went through that 2015 Mets playoff run with a custom theme song made for himself about that.
I got the power, you know the name.
He looked coherent out there on the mound throwing a bullpen session one time. When you got to see his arm at full strength, it was something out of like Greek mythology. But the easy plays, those weren't always for him, in so many ways. It's kind of reassuring that an athlete as good as him can't always make every play. It's a reminder that he's only human, just like us, and baseball is really hard. Guys like him who play it for a living are just that special. But it's not like I don't love the guy. I do. I still remember where I was watching his last ever big nuke in MLB.
And speaking of nukes, you dropped a nuke on your whole career here.
On August 2nd, 2020, Yoenis Cespedes went AWOL on the New York Mets. After playing just 8 games in the COVID-shortened 2020 season, he just took off on them and opted out of the rest of the season. The Mets, at one point, more or less publicly said they had no idea where he was at that point. It has also been reported that the Mets believe that when Cespedes left, he took a bunch of smoke machines Carlos Beltran bought for them while he was their manager to use to celebrate wins before he also left the team without managing a single game for them. Cause yeah, that also happened. Fun times. But this was not the last time you could find him on a baseball field. To this point, that would be during the 2023 World Baseball Classic. Cespedes was representing Cuba again, just like he was at the earliest point of this story. Cuba's second game of the tournament was against Team Italy. At a little after 6 o'clock in the morning Eastern Time, I was actually up watching that game, by the way. I had a long drive that morning, don't ask. In a close game in the late innings, a fly ball was hit out to him in left field.
It bounced off his glove!
You know, there is something remotely comforting in knowing that the more things changed, the more they stayed the same. That applied to real life too. I mean, we even got OG Fortnite back. Keep being you, Yoenis. I mean it when I say, baseball loves you wholeheartedly for it. Cespedes really was one of a kind.